The story of the World Cup begins in 1904 with the foundation of FIFA. In its early years, the organization viewed the Olympic Games as the primary stage for international football, but FIFA president Jules Rimet had a different vision. Rimet believed that football could be a force for global unity, independent of the amateur constraints of the Olympics. This vision gained momentum through the 1920s, and at the 1928 FIFA Congress in Amsterdam, member nations voted to establish a quadrennial world championship.
Uruguay was selected as the host for the inaugural tournament in 1930. The choice was symbolic, celebrating the nation's centennial of independence and its status as back-to-back Olympic champions. However, the decision faced immediate hurdles. The Great Depression was tightening its grip on the global economy, making the long and costly sea voyage to South America a daunting prospect for European nations. It took significant personal effort from Rimet to convince a small European contingent, France, Belgium, Yugoslavia, and Romania, to make the journey. In total, only 13 teams participated, primarily from the Americas. History was made on July 13th, when France's Lucien Laurent scored the first ever goal in the competition. The tournament concluded with a repeat of the 1928 Olympic final, as Uruguay defeated Argentina 4-2 in Montevideo to become the first world champions.
The tournament evolved quickly, introducing a qualification stage for the 1934 edition in Italy. This tournament, and the 1938 edition in France, utilized a 16-team straight knockout format. Italy, under the guidance of coach Vittorio Pozzo, dominated this era, becoming the first team to successfully defend a title. The 1938 event was played under the looming shadow of global conflict, with the annexation of Austria forcing their withdrawal and leaving the finals with only 15 teams. It would be the last World Cup for 12 years.
World War II caused the cancellation of the 1942 and 1946 tournaments, nearly bankrupted FIFA, and left much of Europe's infrastructure in ruins. Plans to resurrect the competition were difficult until Brazil stepped forward with a bid to host the event in 1950. This edition featured a unique and never-repeated format, where the winner was decided by a final round-robin group rather than a traditional final match. The decisive game, known as the Maracanazo, saw Uruguay stun a record crowd of nearly 200,000 people at the Maracanã Stadium by defeating the hosts 2-1 to claim their second title.
The 1954 tournament in Switzerland marked FIFA's 50th anniversary and was a milestone for reaching new audiences as the first World Cup to be televised. It set enduring records for goal scoring, averaging 5.38 goals per match. The final produced one of the sport's greatest upsets, the Miracle of Bern, where West Germany overcame a legendary Hungarian team that had previously thrashed them 8-3 in the group stage.
The 16-team format was standardized in 1958 in Sweden, featuring 4 groups of 4. This tournament saw the emergence of a 17-year-old Pelé, who helped Brazil secure their first championship. Brazil successfully defended their title in Chile 4 years later, despite an injury to Pelé early in the competition. This 1962 tournament was also defined by a darker turn in tactics, characterized by the Battle of Santiago between Italy and Chile, reflecting an era of increasingly physical and defensive play.
In 1966, the World Cup arrived in England, the birthplace of modern football. This edition introduced the first official mascot, World Cup Willie, and saw the Jules Rimet trophy stolen and then recovered by a dog named Pickles. England triumphed on home soil, with Geoff Hurst scoring a hat-trick in the final, a
a record that stood alone for decades. The 1970 tournament in Mexico is often cited as a watershed moment. It was the first broadcast in color and the first held outside Europe and South America. To aid officiating and communication across languages, FIFA introduced tactical substitutions and the yellow and red card system. The Brazilian team of 1970, led by Pelé in his final World Cup, is widely regarded as the greatest collection of talent ever assembled, winning all 6 of their matches to claim the trophy permanently.
The 1974 and 1978 tournaments marked the beginning of a new era. With Brazil keeping the original trophy, a new gold trophy, created by Silvio Gazzaniga, was introduced. The format also changed, replacing the quarter and semi-finals with a second group phase. West Germany won at home in 1974 against the revolutionary total football style of the Netherlands, while Argentina secured their first title as hosts in 1978, though the tournament was played under the shadow of a military dictatorship. Expansion became the theme of the modern era. In 1982, the field grew to 24 teams to allow more representation for Africa and Asia. This tournament in Spain saw Italy win their 3rd title, led by top scorer Paolo Rossi. The 1986 tournament in Mexico, originally scheduled for Colombia, was defined by the individual genius of Diego Maradona. His performance against England in the quarter-finals, featuring both the hand of God and the goal of the century, remains the most discussed match in history.
After a defensively oriented 1990 tournament in Italy that saw a record-low goal average, FIFA introduced the back pass rule and awarded 3 points for a win to encourage attacking play. These changes were in effect for the 1994 tournament in the United States. Despite being held in a non-traditional market, USA 94 became the most attended and financially successful tournament in history. It concluded with the first ever final decided by a penalty shootout, as Brazil defeated Italy to become 4-time champions.
In 1998, the field expanded again to 32 teams. Host nation France claimed their first title, led by Zinedine Zidane, defeating Brazil 3-0 in the final. The 21st century brought a series of historic firsts for the competition. 2002 saw the first jointly hosted tournament in South Korea and Japan, marking the first time the event was held in Asia. In 2010, the World Cup finally arrived on African soil, hosted by South Africa, where Spain's passing mastery earned them their first title.
The integration of advanced technology continued to reshape the game. Goal line technology was successfully introduced at Brazil 2014, and the Video Assistant Referee, or VAR system, debuted at the 2018 tournament in Russia. The 2022 World Cup in Qatar was another historic departure, being the first held in the Middle East and the first played during the Northern Hemisphere's winter to avoid extreme heat. Argentina emerged as champions after a thrilling final against France, giving Lionel Messi his first World Cup title in his final appearance.
The 2026 World Cup will represent the largest expansion in the tournament's history, featuring 48 teams. For the first time, the edition will be hosted by 3 nations: the United States, Mexico, and Canada. The scale of the event will be unprecedented, with 104 matches played over 39 days and the introduction of a new round of 32 knockout stage. Iconic venues will bridge the past and future, as Mexico City's Estadio Azteca becomes the first stadium to host matches in 3 separate World Cups. The journey that began in 1930 with 13 teams and a single host city will reach a new peak on July 19th at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, continuing the legacy of the world's most popular sporting event.
So, which team is going to win the World Cup in 2026? Leave your prediction in the comments.